I love cutting and splitting my houseplants to make more plants. That's also known as propagating. Propagating is free to do, it's sustainable, it's rewarding, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my 5 current favourite plants that I love to propagate, so let's get going. I always have propagations on the go because I love making plants for free, but also I have a project in my local community where I donate 5 plants to a school every month. I let my local community nominate their chosen school and I pick a school at random. I donate 5 plants for the school's well-being room, for children who are having a tricky time with their well-being, who need to spend a bit of time in their pastoral or their well-being room. The aim of my project is just to inject a bit of greenery into their space so that children can have a purpose to look after another living thing, to look after nature, to be surrounded by the colour green, but also just to support their mental health and well-being, to give them a bit of a feel that they have nature in their space. It's so important. So I always have propagations on the go, and if it's not for my school project, it's for me. I also love giving some plants to friends. It's a great gift, and you can never have too many cuttings on the go. When propagating, you really don't need much. You need clean, sharp scissors, you need a plant of choice, you need a vase or a glass of any sort, and you need some water. I use a variety of vases and glasses, whatever I can find around my house. This vase, for example, I dug up from my garden a couple of weeks ago. I live in a very old house. My house is 500 years old. I have no idea how long this vase has been in my garden for, but I love it. I cleaned it up when I dug it up, and now I'm using it as a propagation vase. I also use some drinking glasses. You can use a plastic bottle. You really don't need to spend a lot of money when it comes to a propagation vase. Anything that can hold some water that you can pop a plant into will work really well. A few very basic tips that I've learned along the way when it comes to propagating is to always take more than one cutting. You never know if that cutting is going to survive when you cut it. So to have a better success rate, I'd always recommend taking more than one. Take as many as you can, because the cutting can sometimes rot in the water, and if you only take one, you don't have any more to experiment with. I also find that I need to change the water every week when it comes to water propagations. If I don't, then the vase gets all green, full of algae, and that is not great for the plant cutting that you have in there. So I simply rinse the water out, clean out my vase and fill it with some fresh water every week or every 10 days if you can, just to keep the vase nice and clean and to have a better success rate when it comes to your propagations. I place my cuttings in a bright room, but out of direct sunlight. Direct sunlight, especially in the summer months, can just scorch the leaves and your cutting may not survive. So find a nice bright spot for your cutting and place it in there to wait for roots to grow. Some plants can be propagated into water, whereas other plants can be placed directly into soil. My African milk tree, my euphorbia, when I take cuttings of this beautiful plant, I simply cut the stem and let that stem heal for up to even 5 days, and I can place it directly into soil. However, if I propagate my pothos plants, for example, I propagate them into water because I have to have some roots before placing it into some soil. It's about trial and error, and it's about knowing and learning what plants can be propagated into water and what plants can be planted directly into soil. If you ever have any questions about propagating, what plants need to be placed in water, what plants need to be placed in soil, always ask. Drop a comment below if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. Now let's get into the plants and my top favorite plants that I love to propagate. My number one plant that I am probably the most proud of and have enjoyed propagating is my variegated monstera. I bought this plant with one leaf, and if you've seen my previous videos, I bought it with one leaf. It had a node on, I stuck it into some water, and it's grown into a beautiful plant that's hit the ceiling. That means my plant is getting too big, so I need to cut, which I have done, and I've propagated my cuttings into water. Let me get rid of this beautiful big plant and I'll show you what the cuttings look like. Here are my cuttings from my variegated monstera. It's been in water for about 6 weeks and the roots are super healthy and ready to go into soil. Whenever I check my water propagations and change the water, I also check the roots. The roots have to be a healthy, light colour. It is a bit brown on the base, but it's not soft to touch. The roots aren't coming loose. If the roots come loose and are mushy and soft, it means they have rotted, unfortunately. So always check when you change the water of your propagations, always check the roots to make sure that they are plump and healthy and not coming away. Also with a variegated monstera or any monstera that I propagate, I always check the leaves because I find that monstera plants especially are very prone to thrip pests. These are the little bugs that you find on your leaves. It might not always be visible, but the colour of your leaves can change. It can get brown. They suck all the goodness out of your plant. So even though this plant hasn't been in soil, it can still attract thrips. So I'm forever checking to make sure the leaves, the roots and the stems are healthy. This plant is now ready to go into soil and I can't wait to pot them up. It's been a huge success propagating my variegated monstera, and I will show you what it looks like when I've potted these up. Number 2 is a pothos plant. I absolutely love propagating pothos plants. They are super easy to propagate. I do find sometimes if I place this cutting into water, I need to be really, really careful to let the cut dry out before placing it into water. If I don't, then I find the stems just going mushy and the stems rotting. The cut has to dry. So once you take that cutting, make sure to leave it on the side for about even up to 24 hours to let that cut dry out before placing it into water. I have a pothos here that I've propagated. It's been in water for about a week and a half. And the roots aren't as well established yet. I definitely need to wait a little bit longer for the roots to grow. Whereas this pothos propagation has gone super well and these plants are now ready to go into soil. This is a pothos, some cuttings from a client site that I'm working on, looking after their plants, and this plant just wasn't very happy. It was a bit leggy, so I propagated the plant and have grown some roots. This is what the healthy roots are looking like, and this plant is now ready to go into soil. I place it in a bright spot out of direct sunlight and check the leaves as well, because I also find that pothos plants are quite prone to thrips. So it's looking really healthy. The roots are looking super healthy, so I can't wait to place this into soil. To guarantee a better success rate, make sure to take more than one cutting. When propagating your pothos, find a healthy node, cut underneath, and let that cut heal as well for about 24 hours. Number 3 is my begonia tamaya. I've had this plant for about 18 months, maybe 2 years, and I've propagated it loads. I have to because it just gets really big and out of control. So it's a good thing that I keep it in check by propagating it. I've always had success with this plant and it propagates really, really well. I have a cutting in a vase that I've had in here for about 2 weeks, I would say. And the roots aren't as well established. I won't be placing this into soil just yet. I need to wait for roots to grow a little bit more before placing it into soil. But if you don't have a begonia tamaya, try and find one around you. Try and find a cutting even if a friend has one, because they are super easy to keep and really, really easy to propagate. When propagating begonia tamaya, simply find a node where the roots will come from. Cut underneath that node and let the cut heal for at least 24 hours before placing it into water. Number 4 is a Tradescanthia nanook. These plants remind me so much of growing up in South Africa. I remember having them in my garden and picking them just like flowers to make more plants. They are really easy and quicker than pothos or even the begonia to grow roots into soil. I have a cutting here that I've had in water for about a week, and the roots are starting to come well. There's one root out, and I just need to wait a little bit longer for roots to be a little bit more well established before placing this plant into soil. But they propagate super well. I always tend to take more than one cutting just in case it doesn't take, but love these plants. I love making more, and they are super easy to propagate. Find a healthy looking stem on your Tradescanthia and cut as low as possible. Let that cut heal over, remove the bottom leaves and place that cutting into water and wait for roots to grow. My next plant is a Hoya. If you don't have a Hoya in your collection, I can really recommend as one of the easiest plants to care for, but also one of the easiest plants to propagate. They are super low maintenance and they propagate really, really well. I have had these cuttings in water for about 5 weeks. I wouldn't say they propagate as quick as a Tradescanthia would or as a pothos would. They take a little bit longer in my experience. However, they've grown some beautiful roots. I wouldn't say this is ready to go into soil yet, but the roots are looking really healthy, and I'll just continue to leave it into the water until I have a few more well-established roots. These plants are beautiful, and who wouldn't want to make more of them? Hoya is just as easy to propagate. Simply find a healthy looking stem, cut underneath the node, and let that cut heal as well for about 24 hours before placing it into water. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about your propagations or plants in general, please drop them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.